as it is. So I'll just spend a couple of seconds on it. No problem.
Okay.
Yep.
On the call today, we have experts from VaporVM and Aviatrix. The subject of the call today, or the webinar, is to showcase a new technology on the market which facilitates multi-cloud networking. During this webinar, Idis from Aviatrix and Omer from VaporVM will take you through how this technology is actually revolutionizing multi-cloud networking and making it very easy to be able to use different public clouds. So I will actually leave you in the hands of Idis and Omer to take you through the rest of this webinar. And please stay tuned and pay attention to the content, as there is a quiz at the end with prizes. So go ahead, Omer.
Sure. Thank you, Shazad, and good afternoon and good morning to everyone on the call. My name is Omer Riaz. Idis, do you mind going to the next slide, please? Yeah. Yes. So my name is Omer Riaz. I am the CTO at VaporVM. I joined about three and a half months ago at VaporVM, and my core responsibility at this organization is to drive the technology roadmap, and most important, identify a partner ecosystem that I can align with to help accelerate customer adoption to cloud computing. So I'm here with my colleague Idis.
Yeah, also a very warm welcome from my side. My name is Idis van Everen, and first of all, many thanks to the friends at VaporVM of hosting this webinar. I'm responsible for systems engineering EMEA. I currently do that out of Belgium, and my background is mainly on networking and security. So really looking forward for the next 50 minutes to dive deeper into the joint solution of VaporVM and Aviatrix.
Right. Yes. Thank you, Idis. Idis, if you don't mind going to the next slide, please, for me. Thank you. So today I'll spend just very quickly a few minutes talking about VaporVM as a company and what we have been doing over the past few years, and I'll talk about what some of the trends we were seeing in the market that basically allowed us to look at our new partner Aviatrix and why we brought them on board to help us complete our story so that we can take it to the market with our to our customers. Next slide, please. So VaporVM was initially started or founded in 2013 out of US. Until 2017, we were basically acting as a service provider. We had our cloud data center running in California, New York, and Dubai. So, and we were just offering infrastructure as a service, and our cloud was basically built on OpenStack. And as we were selling this cloud services to our customers and we were onboarding customers into our cloud platform, it turned out the cloud was very new for them and they didn't know how to manage their own workloads. So the company initial focus started out to be managed services. So majority of the business that our revenue that we were generating was coming from our managed services business. And around 2017, we made a decision that we as ourselves would not pursue further maintaining our own cloud platform. We would partner with Azure or Microsoft Azure, AWS, Alibaba, Huawei, because we want to become a cloud enabler, because this is the new trend, and we wanted to align our messaging with that. And in 2018, when we started onboarding or helping customers transition to a cloud strategy in adopting Azure or AWS, then it turns out that even those customers, they were not enabled enough to manage their own workloads in public cloud. So at VaporVM, we continue to provide managed services even into our own cloud and even managing the workload into Azure and AWS. And then quickly we started seeing new attractions of cybersecurity, because now the customers were moving to cloud. They wanted to understand how secure they were. They wanted to have assessment in terms of vulnerability and penetration testing, and they wanted to identify where the loopholes were and how VaporVM can help secure their environment. So then we introduce a practice around cybersecurity, and then DevOps came into the picture because we wanted to automate the infrastructure and the services the customers were consuming in cloud. So our core business will continue to be managed services, and we just kept on introducing new services to complement the market. If we fast forward to 2020, this is when we think that our company started to take shape. Um, Cloud services became the centerpiece of our core domain, where our focus area was. That we had a dedicated cloud team who was helping customers accelerate their adoption to cloud, helping customers build a multi-cloud strategy. And then we started doing data science projects for those enterprise customers, either on-premise in private cloud and even public cloud. And cybersecurity just became a key practice within VaporVM, where we were doing a lot of cybersecurity projects. And we introduced a cloud native application where we had a dedicated software development team who primarily focus around building cloud native applications in the worlds of Kubernetes and whatnot. So 2020 for us was when our strategy started to take shape. We knew exactly where we wanted to be, and around that time frame, we said, okay, we need to take it to the next level, where we need to make sure that our core messaging is about building this multi-cloud strategy for our customers, helping our customers move their workloads from on-prem to public cloud, standardize on cloud computing platform on Azure, AWS, and many other providers in the market. And 2021, we are currently managing 25,000 endpoints. So managed services is still part of our DNA, and this is the most standardized, streamlined service that we have because we've been doing it for many years. And the other services are where our majority of our focus point is going further. By end of the year, we're looking to introduce blockchains and robotics process automation service as part of VaporVM offerings. Next slide, please, it is. So this is our service portfolio. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions, you can type into the chat throughout the presentation, and we have individuals who can help answer those questions. And yeah, thank you. So our services portfolio consists of these 6 pillars. One is managed services. This is what, because we have been doing over the past many years. And this is where our customers are basically saying, look, we are moving toward digital transformation. I want to adopt cloud, but I'm not ready, as or my operations team is not ready or the trained to help me manage those workloads in public cloud. So we, as a Vapor VM, we provide network support services, managed NOC, managed SOC, and user computing management. And this is what we have been doing for many years. If cybersecurity has been there for a long time for us as well, and this is where we are basically helping open new avenues for our customer, looking at business from a different perspective. Before they move to cloud, they need to understand their security around it. We do all the way from a source code review to all the way to the infrastructure hardening, and even provide consultancy for our customers. Now, in terms of cloud services, we are partner with VMware, Amazon, Microsoft for Azure, Huawei. So depending on the choice for our customers, we enable our customers to run their workload on any of these cloud platforms. We provide all the services around getting those workloads into the cloud platform and managing those workloads if required. This is the standard day-to-day IT that we have known for many years, delivering infrastructure either on-prem or public cloud, securing infrastructure either on-prem or public cloud. Where we add value as Vapor VM is primarily on the right side of the slide, which is around data science, cloud native services, and DevOps. So data science is a practice where we all focus, we have a dedicated team that focus only on data management, data correlation, data enriching. So this is where we actually analyze customers' environment, help build ETLs, help build data lake solution, then do advanced data analytics on onto their environments, and then provide visualization so the business have a more rich understanding of what's happening in the organization. And over the past 1 year, we have been investing a lot and time and skills and people advancing those advanced data analytics services to incorporate machine learning and AI. For cloud native applications, this is going back to the basics all the way from one, doing application assessment, helping a customer understand which of their applications are cloud ready, and how, and if those applications are not cloud ready, how can we transition those applications into cloud by doing application modernization. And then of course we have a dedicated team primarily focusing all around developing cloud native application built on 12 factor model running on Kubernetes and the world of containers and the world of cloud native services. And then DevOps is a practice within VaporVM that basically just puts all of this together. That we need the DevOps service to basically automate the infrastructure and the application lifecycle. So these are the main six pillars where VaporVM focuses on, all the way from cloud, security, application, and data. All right. This next slide. Next slide, please. So when we started talking to our customers over the past few years, and we were hearing the common trend. Our customers were moving to cloud, and we were helping them move to cloud. And the common trend was that, each customer was not just consuming one type of cloud. They had a choice. They were consuming selective services from Azure. They were consuming selective services from AWS, and they were at the same time, the enterprise customers, they continue to run their workload in their own data center as well. So it's a mixture of workloads running in multiple environments. Call it hybrid, right? So in 2018, IDC had a study, Future Scope, basically where they provide prediction that 93% of customers will deploy workloads across two or more clouds. And that's exactly what we're seeing in the market. The enterprise customers, they're not tying themselves to one provider. Because those cloud providers are available, there is a concept of choice. And business basically goes to the cloud provider that gives them better availability or better choice of services. So this is becoming a common practice that almost every organization, they have this multi-cloud strategy in place, or they're looking at building a multi-cloud strategy. And Zaya and the IDC, basically, they also say the same, something similar. By 2022, over 90% of enterprise workload worldwide will be relying on mix of on-premise and dedicated private cloud, right? And that's exactly what we're seeing as well. That the customers, enterprise customers, they have their own promise on-premise private cloud running, but same time they're also consuming public cloud for the selective workloads. So we know this is becoming a reality, either for SMB market and even for enterprise customers. And looking at this criteria, we sort of think, what, well, is it working for our customers? This next slide, please. So we know that multi-cloud is becoming a reality, and our customers were, adopting this, consuming workloads in public cloud, and but then introduced new kind of challenges, which we, in one form or the other, we have experienced in traditional IT as well. When you go to Azure and our customers were going to AWS, then these are two different clouds. It's basically two different operational silos. There would be a team who would need to be trained around the capabilities on AWS, and there would be a team who would be trained around the capability of Azure and many others. So it turns out that when companies were adopting this multi-cloud strategy, as great as it was, and as it provides a lot of business benefits, but from an operations point of view, from a technical point of view, it introduced some challenges that needed to be overcome in terms of the skills, the SLAs, the consistency around management across multiple tools, and ensuring that the policies that you set in place for your applications running in this multi-cloud, those policies are then populated into multiple cloud platforms. Next slide, please. So looking at this complexity, then we as VaporVM, we saw that there was a need for multi-cloud. We saw there was a need for customers to help getting them into public cloud, which we were doing. But then we also saw there was challenges that once we get these customers into public cloud, then there's a disconnect in terms of operations. For example, how do our customers have the choice of running public workloads in public cloud, but they have this seamless understanding of connectivity between their workloads? So how can we make their life easier and provide this the easiness of connecting multiple clouds together so the applications are interconnected with one another? This is when we started looking at Aviatrix more seriously. So Aviatrix is a cloud native networking company. They provide this overlay network that has a native integration into the cloud constructs, right? So that means that Aviatrix basically allows integration. So it itself integrates with Azure, and integrates with um, uh, AWS. And then when I run my workload on top, then those workloads are basically sharing the common network across multiple clouds. So as an operational administration, I do not have to worry about manually configuring different networking across different cloud providers to allow connectivity between my applications. So this is what we saw in the market, the gap. We addressed it with Aviatrix. And then when we became a partner of Aviatrix, one is that we are one of the two, I think, or the only reseller partner of Aviatrix in MSP. We provide MSP services for Aviatrix, so that for customers who want to move to multi-cloud strategy and they do not want to manage this Aviatrix instance themselves, and they just want a certified engineers to come on board and basically manage their Aviatrix instance and help manage the networking across all those multiple clouds. We as a Vapor VM, we can provide that. And then we provide the training resources and even professional services to get those customers accelerated in terms of deploying Aviatrix and get them onboarded to enabling their multi-cloud strategy. Any questions so far? If you do, please type it into the chat window. And I think I will, at this point, I will hand it over to my colleague, Idis, to continue the conversation and talking about Aviatrix specifically.
Okay, I'll just pause for a second. There might be some interesting questions. So many thanks, Umer, for the introduction. And what we'll be following right now is truly extending and going a little bit deeper and wider onto the introduction that Umer gave when it's all about cloud networking. So within the cloud, specifically, it was always the promise to be more agile, faster than your competitors, to use the resources whenever they were required, to drop resources when they were no longer required. So truly working for the most efficient environment that you could actually obtain. At Aviatrix, we noticed that these type of features and functions that you expect from the cloud, they should also become visible within the security part and also the networking part. So the next few slides will be an introduction into Aviatrix on how we can help the customer base moving their applications with our partners into the cloud while still having the highest possible adoption and agility when it comes to the cloud. But also the promise of the cloud is a very important one. And just to start with the business part around Aviatrix, and of course, the full study is available, what you can see on the bottom of the slide, but not only going to the cloud for cloud, but there is always an expectation when it comes to cost and a justification for this one. And it's clear that also with Aviatrix being a part of the puzzle, moving customers into the cloud and allowing them to use the maximum out of this one, they also expect a return of investment on this one. They also expect benefits, and typically these benefits are coming into the agility that you can deploy applications within the cloud, but that you can also embrace much faster additional clouds. Typically, one of the business drivers of having multiple clouds is that it's the application that will typically dictate what type of cloud you will be using. There is, of course, a strategic desire to use multiple clouds, and that's typically related to, let's say, avoiding the vendor lock-in or the cloud lock-in, and to be very agile when it comes to use multiple resources at multiple clouds at once. What is important is that you're not allowed alone in this cloud journey. And within Aviatrix, counting 500 plus customers worldwide over here, is that we have actually solutions for each and every vertical, or even otherwise said, whether you're a government environment, whether you're a consumer, whether you're in financial services as a vertical, the cloud adoption is for most of the companies the same. And the challenges that you see going with it are also very similar. So of course, maybe from the financial part, you might have a more stringent focus when it comes to compliance, security, and so on. But when it comes to healthcare, pharmaceuticals, for example, you want to make sure that you can tap into the vast lakes of data analysis and so on. And that's typically all the different hurdles that these companies had to take to get the maximum of efficiency out of the cloud adoption. So where did it all start? And why do we need more than just basic networking and security when moving into the cloud? So on the left-hand side, you see the typical on-prem environment. And let's be clear, the on-prem environment will still be with us for many years to come. Typically, we talk about cloud experience as being N+1 experience, where N is the number of clouds that you will embrace. That could be one cloud in the beginning, quickly expanding to the second one. And as your business is expanding or new applications are being introduced, you might be looking to cloud number 3 or cloud number 4 in this one. So, and the +1 is your on-premise data center. This might be applications which are very difficult to move to the cloud, or maybe too costly to move to the cloud. And you decided as a strategic decision to keep your on-prem environment for a while you're continuing to embrace the public cloud. While moving from the on-prem environment into the public cloud, there are a couple of challenges that you see over here. Of course, the ultimate goal is to have the new data center being the cloud, but you will need to deal with some, let's say, basic networking components that you will have to put together to create your enterprise class cloud networking capability out of this one. And that's exactly where the challenge comes, because the main focus within the public cloud is the application layer. How do you quickly deploy an application? How can you expand it very quickly depending on the needs of your consumers? How can I build the high availability into these applications? So that's typically the main focus and also the main solutions that the public clouds are offering. And while the networking component, very important when it comes to accessing the cloud, but also having a multi-cloud strategy, that's typically some pieces which are still in the native cloud constructs that you need to put together and have a very deep knowledge on how that one works over here, but then also across multiple clouds. It's basically the same as that you're at once a Cisco expert, an Arista expert, and any other type of networking, routing expertise that you have. And the expertise that you don't have, actually, you need to gain that in the shortest possible time. Because, of course, the cloud presence is all about embracing to the full extent the cloud as quickly as possible. And that's exactly where some of the challenges are that are being addressed by Aviatrix. The second part that typically customers experience when they go into the cloud is the black box principle of the native cloud constructs. That means there is a networking function. There is, for example, an IPsec termination function. There is a routing function, but these are typically approached as a black box. That means that the information that you're getting out of these type of operations, whether it's in the form of troubleshooting capabilities or maybe logging experience, can be scattered all over the place, making it very difficult to actually troubleshoot in the quickest possible way. While on the on-prem environment, of course, since you were the owner of the full stack, whether it's the physical stack, the virtual stack, the routed stack, the wide area network stack, and so on, gave you that quick insight. And these are the parts that are exactly missing within the native tools of the different cloud providers. And that's where exactly Aviatrix comes around as being that new enterprise class multi-cloud networking, but also security as being a layer consuming the public cloud, but giving you that uniformity in combination with troubleshooting capabilities across the different clouds. So there is a big difference in what we see of connecting to the cloud than connecting inside of the cloud. So just to put the framework together, you have the on-prem private clouds over here. You have the connections to the cloud, and that can be your favorite telecoms provider. That could also be an SD-WAN that you have. That could be a SASE solution that you have, and they will typically provide you connectivity to the cloud. So where Aviatrix resides is actually inside the cloud, making that connectivity across the different clouds, but also inside the cloud. So this is just to make sure that you clearly understand where Aviatrix resides. So what are the typical challenges that we see within the cloud networking part? First of all, it is the connectivity. Everything starts with connectivity, that you want to keep it secure, that you want to backhaul your traffic, that also you want to make changes when it comes to the architecture, which is directly impacting your business. So there is a lot of focus on how to access basically the cloud, but what do you do once you have access to the cloud? That's where the cloud connectivity challenge comes around. But also the operational issues. We tackled already a few of them in the previous slides over here. How do you get that visibility? How do you do that day two type of operations? Do you really have the skills in-house to do a very fast troubleshooting, very fast deployment, and also do expansions in the correct time? Of course, we have our partners such as VaporVM who can help you with this one. But on the other side, you also need to be responsible for the architecture on how you can actually define that access and the cloud operations. And then a very important part when it comes to cloud adoption is the compliance and the security. If you take a look at the access environment, who did access my network? Where did my resources go to? Who is using my resources? How do I gain the visibility? What happens inside of my cloud? What can I do, for example, when I'm striving for PCI compliance? What do I do, for example, within the cloud if I still want to adopt network segmentation as I used to do for the last 20 years on my on-prem data center? How can I keep that traffic separate between, for example, my HR department, my financial department, and my engineering department? So these are all challenges that you see when moving inside the cloud, which are typically not addressed by a single cloud provider. And of course, when you're looking at multiple clouds, you see a compounded challenge over here, because now you have to address and find solutions for all the clouds at once without that your workload is actually going through the roof. So where do we fit exactly? Where is that Aviatrix solution fitted over here? On the north side, you see all the different cloud providers that we support today. And on the south side, you see all the access capabilities, whether it's through internet, branch offices, whether you have to take into account third-party providers, maintenance, MSPs, and so on. So that's all on the south side. And they all have one thing in common, is that you want to access the application layer in a secure and high available way. And that's exactly where Aviatrix resides, with a focus on the networking services when it comes to single cloud and multi-cloud, but also taking into account the security services at once, because you cannot deploy a network without taking into account security that you require. You cannot think about just security without that it have an impact on your networking part. And of course, the third pillar that we put a lot of focus on as a software vendor is the operational services. So we know about the black boxes, which are typically embraced within the public cloud itself. And that's where we operationalize the service by giving you that insight, not only in a single cloud, but always the same consistent visibility across any type of cloud, any type of region. So how do we do that exactly? Because as mentioned on the very first slide, simplicity is key, because what you want to achieve is the highest agility when embracing the cloud or even the multi-cloud environment. So the first component that we have over here is the Aviatrix controller, which is, depending on the cloud, a virtual machine. It's an EC2 instance when you're in AWS, and that's typically obtained through the marketplace of the different public clouds. You only need one Aviatrix controller to manage multiple clouds, multiple regions. So the controller is actually yours, and on the north side, it provides an API, which is typically a great fit when you think about pipelining, automation, CI/CD type of capabilities. And on the other side, it also provides a traditional graphical user interface, giving you the insight for day one, which is the building part, and of course also day two, which is the operational side. How we create that uniformity is by deploying Aviatrix gateways. The Aviatrix gateways, again, they reside within your cloud account, are fully managed, the full life cycle, by the Aviatrix controller. And they provide the uniform networking experience, and at the same time also the security, inclusion and components. Last but not least is also the various API interfaces that we offer, going straight into the native cloud constructs, because of course, as you can appreciate, to get inside or outside of a cloud, there are some native components that you need to use. But instead of doing that all in a manual way, where the administrator needs to tie all these type of functions together, it is all orchestrated out of the Aviatrix controller. So it's truly a fully simplified, manageable networking transit environment. And at the same time, we also take into account that the necessary native cloud constructs are being used to execute the function that you expect from the Aviatrix solution. On the right-hand side, you also see the integration with your favorite security vendor. So, of course, to make maximum and efficient use of the public cloud, you will be over time moving your security services inside the cloud just to be more efficient when it comes to cloud access, while still maintaining network and security visibility. And that brings us to the last component, which is Aviatrix Copilot. And as you can see, it actually gets information from two components, which is the Aviatrix controller, giving you an overview of the topology. And on the other side, it will also tap into the vast amount of statistics which are captured by the Aviatrix gateways, giving you that full insight of all the flows traversing your cloud components. I'll just stop here for a second to check whether there are any questions. And I will have to rely on Dana or Umer, because I don't really have a visibility on potential questions.
Please, you can continue for about another maybe 8 minutes before we break into the fireside chat.
Absolutely. Thanks, Shazad. So with those three components, what do we exactly do with them? Over here, you see a very simplified environment. And as you can see, even when we talk about a multi-cloud environment, you actually typically start off with a very small environment. That can be single region, single cloud. But what is important is that from the moment you actually start by using Aviatrix over here, you will have the full benefit of having the visibility across any of the networking resources, whether it's in a VNet, all the different subnets which are related over here, whether it's high-speed connectivity out of the on-prem in a secure way straight into the region, and then also with an automated network propagation between the on-prem and the different VNets. So at the same time, even with the smallest type of deployment, you will be benefiting from high availability, intelligent route propagation, and at the same time, also the visibility. Now, if you want to extend into other use cases by embracing another region, that could be, for example, next to the UAE region that you would like to embrace, for example, Ireland or London as another region. Now you see that horizontal span over here, where also there is a secure connectivity in between, let's say, the different regions. But you will also benefit when you create additional VNets over here, that all the different routes will be propagated across all the different VNets, the ones that you allow, because it's all policy-based, and will also be propagated straight into the on-prem environment. So it's a sort of hands-down, easy way to get started with all the routing information that you have within a single cloud. But you see, it's a very uniform layer that is given over here with all the different gateways and components. But at the same time, it allows you to do that end-to-end encryption. So of course, some of the cloud providers do mention that they provide encrypted traffic, but you can actually not verify what happens exactly, or what happens when you are spanning multiple clouds, when you're getting rerouted. Are all the paths that your data is taken, are they encrypted, yes or no? With Aviatrix, you have that embedded high-performance encryption, whether it's from the north side to the south side, south to north, or east to west. So it's a continuous encryption scheme that we have, while also giving you the possibility to create segmentation within the single cloud. With that segmentation, if you want to do that fine-grained environment, you might also be looking to, for example, security insertion. And that's how you can bring, for example, your favorite firewall vendor or a chaining of your firewall vendors and other security components straight into the heart of the cloud network over here. But also a requirement for internet access. Machines within the VNets over here, whether it's a virtual desktop that you create, whether these are the machines itself that you deploy as being databases or applications, they also need to have a secure way to access the different resources outside of their cloud region or public cloud itself. But also the connectivity, not only on-prem, not only branch offices need to be connected within your public cloud, but also roaming users. And at the same time, what you want to achieve is that they will be following the same segmentation so that you can also enforce the security when accessing cloud resources. Once you are done, I would say, with building the cloud, typically then it's day 2 operations. And the day 2 operations comes out of Copilot, where all the different gateways are sending the data inside Copilot and gives you a great view on the topology, which is dynamically built, so it's always real time, but also gives you visibility on latency. For example, gives you visibility on bandwidth consumption, and any type of reroutes that need to happen because clouds do fail eventually. And now, once you put in your very first experience in a single cloud, now you can also expand to multiple clouds. And what is important over here when you do that type of expansion to multiple clouds is that it's always the same architecture that you keep on using. Whether you have built it in a single region, now you can actually copy and paste that into another region, but also across multiple clouds. And each time you have the benefit of having the same architecture, independent of which cloud you're working on. Independent of the visibility that you require on this one, because you always have the same type of functionality at your fingertips. So why Aviatrix? Why now? So Aviatrix will help, independent of where you are on your cloud journey, helping you into further embrace and to simplify the networking component. Whether you're greenfield, then you know what type of challenges you will have that can be on the skills gap, that can be on maintaining the SLA, that can be, for example, security enforcement that you need to do. Maybe you want to embrace the cloud as a zero trust environment. So all these type of components will help you in making your decision on why to deploy Aviatrix. Could also be in the area of cost optimization. Could also be in the area, for example, of regulations, that you need to have a full view of, for example, all the communication that happened outside of your cloud, that you have a full visibility on all these type of communications, and that they are reported in an easy way, and also, of course, being enforced in a fully automated way. And that brings us to the fireside chat, and I believe we are right on time.
Thank you so much, Edis, for this very valuable information. So, Edis, myself, I've been part of this cloud computing team in my previous employer, and I'm also helping my customers accelerate their journey to cloud. So, let me ask you something. When our customers are moving to cloud, what should be the first area of focus when enterprise start to expand in the cloud?
Mm-hmm. So a very important one is, of course, the access part, the security part, and this should really be the beginning, to have a very good idea on what your cloud presence will be, instead of always doing a start and a stop. So typically what we have been seeing over the past years when helping our customers expanding into the cloud is that it's typically from one problem to another problem that they are moving. So the first problem is, how do I connect to the cloud? And a solution is being looked for. Then the second one, once they are in the cloud or connected to the cloud, then it's like, oh, now we need to do something about security. Because we have our security department over here who says like, okay, now you're going to do real business within the cloud. So now you also need to enforce the same security that we had for the last so many years on the on-prem environment. And then, of course, everybody scrambles to find the right security solution. Once you have the security on this one, then, of course, we also need to make sure that we have the right level of SLA inside troubleshooting capabilities, and then yet again a new solution is being sought in the market. While with Aviatrix, it's very clear that once you start with even the smallest use case with Aviatrix, whether it's access to the cloud, enforcing security, gaining visibility, you started already the minimum of an architecture that will allow you to benefit for years to come by expanding on that already well-known architecture, instead of each time scrambling for a brand new solution from vendor X and then trying to make it work together with vendor X and then try to make it together with vendor A, and really jumping from one problem to another problem on this one. And that's what we've seen in our experience, is that the journey to the cloud, and that's mainly due to inexperience on what to expect, is that it's always use case based. And with Aviatrix, you truly have that possibility to start very small, but knowing that you will be able to start and continue with that same type of architecture over time.
Let me just expand on the security part. So, a lot of our customers have been partner with, the existing security providers for some time. How well does Aviatrix integrate with the security stack of the industry standard solution that exists?
Yeah, well, it's a very good question, because security is always around on this one. And now that the public cloud is more and more being used as a true business environment, instead of mainly how it was used before as a DevOps environment, now security is coming around. And we have seen deployments where, for example, the existing security stack on-prem is continued to be used. But that, of course, will increase the latency dramatically, because your data needs to travel in and out from the cloud to the on-prem, back again into the cloud, maybe also leading for the internet. So this is a very inefficient way, and typically you never get to the full promise of what the cloud is providing. And hence also the possibility to have an easy integration with, for example, the transit network that you're building is key, because otherwise, if you don't take into account that type of architecture, you will have to manage the network, the security independently, which is related to networking too, and you start to increase actually the workload when moving into the cloud, taking also into consideration the security part. And again, that's where you have the benefit of Aviatrix, where the insertion of the firewall street or security street is part of the architecture. But at the same time, Umair, there is also a possibility to do things differently. Instead of having, typically 1 or 2 on-prem data centers, now potentially with the spread of the public cloud, you can have hundreds of potential exit points leaving your cloud environment to other clouds or to other resources outside of your cloud account. And that also gives you the possibility within Aviatrix to do that distributed egress security. So there are alternatives which are different from, let's say, the traditional way how security has been done so far on the on-prem environment. So again, relying on a partner such as VaporVM in combination with Aviatrix will help you to define your next gen of security implementations.
So last question from my side. So with Aviatrix, we have access, we have security, but what is still missing here?
Okay, oh, very good question on this one, Umair. So mainly, and I've been in the networking and security space since quite a while. And what is really king when it comes to fast troubleshooting is the visibility. And most of the individual vendors, they figured that out pretty quickly, and that could be a specific firewall vendor, a networking vendor, and so on. And they came around with all the different type of Armon probes or management UIs and so on. But now that you're dealing with multiple regions, multiple clouds, that becomes a big challenge, because basically what you're looking for is a sort of umbrella management that will, let's say, help you not to have 20 console pages open just to troubleshoot one specific connectivity issue. And if you bear with me, then I'll just stop sharing the slides over here, and I'll quickly jump in an online demo of what we call the visibility of all the different networking components. So that's a bad start, of course. Okay, this is really something very strange which happened.
I think it's cached somewhere in your browser, probably.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's always murky that is around. But okay, third time, good time. So maybe the audience will think like, okay, what's going on exactly? Well, I believe this is the best proof that security also works within Aviatrix itself, because if you effectively do not have the right credentials, you simply don't get in. So a very quick one when it comes to visibility, because it's great to have all that security, great to have all that networking, but now you want to work across multiple type of clouds or even multiple regions within a single cloud. Because let's face it, even if you're working in a region which is important for you, you will always have a benefit of having the best visibility when it comes to connectivity. And over here, and a very quick one, is that we concentrate within the Aviatrix Copilot on a couple of areas. The first one over here is the topology, and which is truly a topology that will help you across any type of cloud. So let me just enhance that a little bit over here. And as you can see, this is a dynamically setup, which is showing you all the different type of instances. That gives you a very clear picture of what goes on exactly within your cloud, a single cloud or multiple clouds, because you see as well OCI over here. You see, for example, AWS on this side, and on the other side, you have Azure. And to make it complete, we should also have some GCP within our environment over here. But that allows you to drill deeper into, for example, the different environments. But from each and every gateway, you can also run, for example, your favorite diagnostics. So for somebody coming off the on-prem, this seems to be all logical and you know, something that they had already for many years in the past. But when you get into the public cloud environment, there is none of the public cloud companies that offers you this type of networking capability and graphing them out for easy usage and to truly have that topology overview on who talks to who, what are the different components which are being used over here, but most importantly, what are my typical average latencies that I see on my inter-cloud or inter-region connections. So this is truly unique across the industry, but also when it comes to security, there is also a topology replay. So a replay, it's very unique on this one, is that it will give you, in a blink of an eye, all the changes that occurred within your network. So because typically, as we all know, if there is something going wrong with an application, it's always the network. And what is the fastest way to troubleshoot, or what is the fastest way to innocence? And that's exactly where all these type of different tools of Aviatrix will help you with, whether it's to graphing the network, or for example, showing over here all the different tunnels and statuses of tunnels that changed compared to the previous snapshot that we did over here. That's truly the capabilities that we provide over here, which is very unique even within a single cloud, but even more unique when it goes across multiple clouds. But also the insight on all the different flows that you have with NetFlow-alike capabilities, keeping track of all the different flows which are going through the gateways. And you see this wealth of information that we can extract over here, whether it's based on sources, destination, port-based, but also more importantly, the tagging can also be done so that you can elevate your cloud troubleshooting and visibility capabilities by just looking at tagging. So the tagging could be my engineering team or my database applications, or for example, my sales team. And then you can start to do filters based on, for example, different tags. And that gives you trending. How is my network evolving over time? So that gives you all the different trends that you see, also geolocations, individual flows, of course, by saying who is talking to who, for example. So all that information is extracted automatically out of the gateways and presented to the user, even across clouds over here.
It is, I think we've reached the end.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to stop over here.
Fantastic. First and foremost, thank you both, Omer and Idris, for this really insightful introduction to multi-cloud networking using Aviatrix. I think it's a fantastic tool that's really going to take off in the market in this region as well. So thank you very much for taking the time to present to us today. What we'll do now is I'll actually pass it over to Dana. Dana will actually take the audience through a quiz. There are prizes. So Dana is going to actually show you. So I think there's a link in the chat if you guys can actually click on that link to participate. And then we can take it from there. And so Dana, it's up to you now, right? You run with the quiz.
Yeah, sure. So just please open up the slide. I think there's a QR code where everyone can just like scan it as well. So there are two options. It's either they're going to go through the link, which I have shared on the chat box, or they're going to scan it through their phone.
Yeah, so it is, I think there's one of the slides has got a QR code on it. If you want to just pull up your screen again, just to show that slide.
Okay, I'm checking.
I think it's just below the fireside chat.
Okay. I have to find the slide deck back. Okay. Okay, here it comes.
Okay.
That's the next slide, I think.
Yeah.
That's it.
Here it is.
Okay. So to everyone who wants to join the quiz, kindly please scan the QR code, or you may also go through the link provided in the webinar chat box. Kindly also please raise your hand if so I know that everyone is ready. You just open it. Okay, so this quiz, basically, you need to enter your full name, pick an avatar, and get ready. So this quiz has 10 questions. You have 30 seconds to answer each question. So the fastest answer gets the more points, and the leaderboard will be shown at the end of every question.
Dana, you're gonna need to share your screen, right?
No, whenever they click the link, the quiz will be shown on their phone.
The quiz will be shown onto their own actual
Yes.
screen.
on their phone.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
So let's just wait. I have here now 5 participants. So let's wait for the others to join, like maybe a minute. Oh, now we have 8 players, so I think we can start. We have 15 seconds left for number 1 question. Four, three, two, one. Time's up. Okay, let's move to the next question. Fifteen seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, moving on to the next question. 15 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, moving on to the next question. So now we have 10 seconds left. 3, 2, 1. Moving on to the next question. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, moving on to the next question. Ten seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, moving on to the next question. Ten seconds left. 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Now let's move to the next question. We don't have 10 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, time's up. Moving on to the next question. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Okay, so now we have a winner, Mr. Muhammad. Can you please send us your email? So we have top 3 winners, Mudassir Iqbal, top 3, top 2, Sean, and number 1, Muhammad. So can you please all 3 share your email IDs with us in the chat box? Muhammad Tahir, Mudassir Iqbal, and Sean Philip. Okay, so we already have now okay, we will be sending with you an email after this webinar. Thank you so much everyone for attending this webinar. We will be sharing the on-demand recording of the webinar after the event. Thank you so much. So Sir Shazad, I'll pass it on to you.
Thank you, Dana. I think this wraps it up. Thank you everyone for attending, and just keep an eye on the social media for future webinars. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.